Tatiana, thank you very much indeed, and welcome back to GB News Live. Growing fears that the Bank of England may be losing control of the battle over inflation. The UK's biggest building society raising mortgage rates sharply, up 0.45%, almost 0.5%. And one of the city's most powerful financial firms now stopping long-term investment in the UK debt market because of growing uncertainty. They've openly questioned whether the bank's policy is right. Well, the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, meanwhile saying he's comfortable if even higher rates lead to recession. But some economists now also question the government's credibility in tackling the country's economic woes. Let's get the thoughts now. Dr. Roger Gilb, who's a former advisor both to the Bank of England and the UK Treasury. Thank you very much indeed for your time, because both being targeted by the critics at the moment, of course. First to the Bank of England. Suggestions that they were too late to the party, if you like, to actually put the brakes on inflation, and now perhaps pushing it too far with the rates going too high for too long. What's your assessment of that?
Well, that's exactly right. I think you're being very generous, Mark, when you and others refer to the Bank of England losing control over inflation. I don't think they've ever had control. They never should have raised interest rates as they've done. The people running the Bank of England, the last time this happened, when we had non-consumer driven inflation, in other words, we're not spending. We're worried about choosing heating and eating. It's the cost of food and energy that's driving prices up. You don't control that kind of inflation by crippling people with greater interest rates. They brought this all upon themselves, and Jeremy Hunt is nuts. I mean, I can't think of a more polite word to say we need to keep increasing. I mean, how many football managers wouldn't be walked off the pitch after using the same playbook for the 12th game where they've lost all the previous ones?
And this is where he's saying that he would be comfortable if these ever higher rates would actually lead to recession. Because a lot of people are scratching their head thinking, hold on, you're talking about trying to get growth in the economy to avoid recession actually happening.
Yeah, well, that's because he's worth 38 gazillion billion pounds. You know, he doesn't have to worry about it like people who don't know where their next meal is coming from, or just ordinary Brits who feel to squeeze more and more. And him dumping a 30% rise in corporation tax at a time like this, which is going to be passed on to all of us, is just insane. They have lost as much credibility, as Rishi and the rest of them have with their performance on immigration, NHS. I mean, people are just not believing the gaslighting anymore. And I think that is one of the factors that has caused this move by professional investment firms to say, first of all, let me say, Mark, that reading all the reports on this online and elsewhere, it's a wonder if anybody understands it, because it's also full of jargon and technical. Let me try to make it simple. What's really happened here is that people have decided that the interest rate the government is paying to borrow money on its bonds is not enough. Yeah. Because interest rates are going to obviously keep rising. So they reduce the prices of those bonds. So a £100 bond is worth £95.
Right.
And so people are losing money on investing, and it's causing a bit of a crisis.
Yeah, just to explain that to people, obviously Legal & General, which is a huge city concern, now saying it's maybe sitting things out, it's not going to invest in UK long-term debt. Does that indicate that real players are losing confidence in the handling of the UK economy?
Not so much. I mean, these are professional people, Mark. What it indicates is that they're going to hold out until they can get a better interest rate on more long-term debt.
Right. Dr. Roger Gilb, thank you very much for your time. We're just going to leave it there because we're bringing some breaking news coming in from Derby Crown Court. The sentencing of the parents, Stephen Bowden and Shannon Marsden, who'd murdered their baby son, Finlay Bowden. Mrs.